How putting your kids first in your marriage can be a one-way ticket to failure.
When you first fell in love, it was just the two of you. When you decided to get married, it was just the two of you. Now, maybe you already had kids from previous relationships or whatnot as well, but it still was the unity of the two of you that brought you together, the passion you have for each other. Now, oftentimes as our kids get older and they go through the systems and whatnot, where they're sleeping in our beds, which is going to ruin intimacy. Where they'll have so many sporting events, they have homework, we're taking them to school, we're making lunches, we're doing all of this, which is then drains our energy. Then on trips, it's all about them. When we go out to dinner, it's all about them. Now all of our money, time, and energy is going into them. Then that's when it starts to kill our relationship.
And what happens to the two of us?
Right? What happens with the two of us? Now, I'm not saying we don't put our kids first in our relationship at all, or ignore them, I should say, because we don't put them first. But we don't definitely do not ignore them. What do? I mean, they're in a lot of stuff, right?
Yeah, we did homeschooling. One of our children does rock climbing several days a week. The other one does a Ninja Warrior class.
So we got to prioritize the time for them. Structure your life, right? Just anything in life has consistency. And when we have consistency, that's where we see results, right? So that's the same thing in fitness, faith, relationships, intimacy. When you're just consistent every single day with it, it grows. So with our kids, what we do is we prioritize for us first as the number one. And that's not like where it's like, hey, get out of here. Not at all. Every night we spend at least about 2 hours with them. They have to be off their personal time. Usually it's video games or something by a certain time. That's usually around dinner. Then they come down, they hang out with us. They make dinner. We'll go on a walk. Then after it, we have a rotation of things we do with them every night. One night, we're playing board games. The next night, it's a video game we like to play together as a family. The next night, it's either a movie or a program that we like to watch on TV. Then we rotate back and forth through that. Sometimes we go out to dinner with them. Sometimes it's just us. And that's what you do. And then we don't let them sleep in our bed because that's an asking for them to, intimacy to be gone. But then also we just make sure that all our conversation isn't always centered around the kids. Everything we do, all of our money isn't for the kids. Give them an amazing life, but give yourself an amazing life as well. Because if you're blessed enough to make it to when they're out of the house, you can have two choices, right? You can still have a strong marriage and a great relationship with them, or you can have a great relationship with your kids, but then a terrible marriage if you make it there. And then now you're left empty. All we did was spend our money on our kids and talk about our kids and do for the kids, and our intimacy's gone. Now what about us,
What are we left with?
Right. What are we left with? So now you have to rebuild. But here's the thing. Our kids mimic what we do, right? Like you want them to be great parents. Don't take this the wrong way, but oftentimes you see kids who, if the parents are obese, they're going to be obese. And that's just studies. That's just not me saying there's a jerk. That's just realness. Studies proven that that's what happens. When you see your parents get divorced, oftentimes the studies have proven that those kids now as adults have a higher chance of getting divorced. What leads to a divorce? Breaking down the marriage, right?
Yeah.
Us not being able to have good intimacy, us communication's wrong. They see us fighting, all this other stuff. Well, now that's going to bleed over into their adult relationships as well. So it doesn't matter how we raised them morally and, that they were great sports players and all that. At the end of the day, if their marriage is going to fall apart because our marriage fall apart because we put them first, you got to reverse engineer that. Put you first, which can sound selfishly, but that's going to let them now be first because you're going to lead by example and they're going to go, oh, I want to treat my spouse this way. I want to be with them this way. My marriage, I want to be this way. They're going to do the same systems as you. Now, that's all we want with our kids at the end of the day is have an amazing marriage, amazing family, and that's where the happiness will be. But if we don't have an amazing marriage, but we give them a great childhood, they care less about that. I firsthand will tell you that. My dad spent an insane amount of money to do whatever I want as a kid, but my parents had a terrible relationship, and I had a lot of trauma and drama in my life, which led me down a wrong path, which at first, when we were first few years together, bled over into our relationship.
Yeah.
I had to clean that all up, right? I had to realize, oh, okay, I got to clean this up. Don't do that for your kids. Have that strong marriage and show them, hey, there's nothing wrong with being, I don't want to say selfish, because when you show up for yourself, you show up for your spouse. And when you show up for each other, then you can show up for everybody else that much better. But if you imagine if your relationship's bad, right? Like what happens if your relationship's bad? Are you showing up for your kids?
No, definitely not.
Are you in a good mood to hang out with the kids?
Heck no.
No, right? You're at the baseball game and the tension's there. They're fighting all the way to the game, and now you're going to play a game. I watched that happen time and time again in my my life. But what if you're on the way there and you guys are just laughing and joking with each other, and then you go to the game with the kids? Like, they're going to go out and just have a good time with their friends.
Yep, you're setting a good example for them.
Yeah, that's all you want to do. So, do not put your kids first. By all means, do not ignore them. Put you guys first. Make that the priority. And that's the way you're going to lead your kids. I promise you to success.
Yes.
Much love. God bless.